Welcome back to Big G's Backyard Motorcycle Restoration. I'm your host, Glenn. This is going to be another episode where we're working on the Yamaha XS650, where most of this is going to take place here in the workshop, as we've got a tank and side covers to clear coat. We've also got some cleanup on fenders and other pieces that are going to go back on the motorcycle. And then there's going to be a bit of an interesting reveal at the end. Made a big change in my strategy for getting the bike fixed up, but we'll let you see that a bit later. Let's get started with that clear coat. All right, so we're going to be clear coating the gas tank side covers for the Yamaha XS650. We're using Spray Max 2K Clear Glamour. This is a 2K clear that we're going to be putting on the outside. So this should protect the paint that's 50 years old. It's a wood stage paint, so it comes off pretty easily. But also we put that new decal on there. So we're going to put this on the outside. So obviously the first step is to read the instructions. We need to shake it up quite a bit, but also you can see there's a piece on the bottom. So this red cap is for, that's going to mix the two parts of the enamel. So we're using 368-006 wood 2K Clear Glamour. So I've got two of these. One of these should be enough for the tank and the side covers to get two coats each. Probably a little bit left over that we can use on the Vespa as well. So I'm going to pause this while I shake it all up. I'm not going to take you into the paint booth that I've made here in my basement for the tank and the side covers. Lighting's not graded there. Well, maybe we'll take a look in there real quickly, but we're not going to show the whole spray experience. Let me shake this up. All right, I've been shaking this for about 2 minutes. The directions are pretty clear. 2 minutes shaking, then I take the cap off, and then I'm going to, it's got this little piece on the bottom, and put that on here, and then okay, so I've got that on there really good now. That's definitely pressing in. Now I've got a couple more minutes of shaking this up. Get the two parts together. I'm going to pause you again. All right, so this is the makeshift paint booth. It's just a bunch of clear sheeting that I'm using here to wall off a section of my basement. So this can hang here protected, minimum of dust or disturbance over the next 24 hours after I finish clear coating this. So best of luck to me, guys. We'll come back in about 24 hours and see what this all looks like. You may not be able to see this too well because of the darkness in here, but you can see a pretty good coating has gone on here. I think this is 2 coats so far, so I'm going to go for at least 1 more coat. I just use the whole can. And again, we're doing about every 10 minutes or so. I think at the very least the tank's side covers are going to be well protected. Paint's going to be protected. It's not going to rust anymore. I think I would like to wet sand and then buff these so that we can make it as shiny as possible. Won't wax for about a month or so, but the very least, this 50-year-old paint is going to be protected. These rusty spots are going to be covered, so they shouldn't rust anymore. Not going to be exposed to the air. I even got the back side of the covers a little bit, but not really my area of concern. Pretty pleased at how it's going so far. At least one coat to go. Okay, so since we're getting closer to getting the wheels back on, I've taken off the front fender and supports. Currently, I've got a bath of evaporust going with the nuts and bolts there and washers. This, might not be able to see it, is pretty rusty and crusty. Well, this one was the same just a couple of minutes ago. Literally just a little bit of lubricant. I've got WD-40 PB Blaster. I used a wire brush and for the harder stuff, and then mostly just whatever with quadruple zero steel wool. So I'm using my new vise here. Going to try to get some of this crud off here. This one I feel has a little bit more on it because it was more in the front of the motorcycle. So this one's got just a little bit more buildup on it. But let's see if we can have the same sort of success on this that we had on the other one that I did just to kind of test out my methods here a few minutes ago. So I'm going to start with just getting a little bit of WD-40 here directly on the brush. And then this side's actually not too bad, but just go all over it. I'm getting grease buildup off of it, and I'm getting oxidation off of there, smoothing down some of the pitting. And of course, even though I can't really see it from this vantage point, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of take a blind pass here. And it's already looking a bit better, though it feels a little rougher on the bottom side. So I'm going to give that a little more work. Then kind of unrolled this quadruple zero so I could wrap around it real well. And just kind of squeeze, rotate, rub back and forth and around. And already this is looking much, much better. Okay, you can still see a little bit of pitting there, but you know, with a little bit more rubbing, maybe it'll take even more off. And again, we're not going for perfection here, but already this has a nice shine to it. The lubricant doesn't need to be wiped off completely because that's actually going to provide a little bit more rust prevention properties. And this is something that we can do from time to time, is just put a nice light coat of WD-40 on it to displace the water, so that if we do get, you know, a little bit of rain or even just some heavy humidity, maybe some dew in the mornings, maybe I forget to put the cover on it and it's covered in dew in the morning, you know, not going to get the rust quite as quickly here. And again, as long as we don't let it go too far, we can just take it back off. It was only a few bolts. Easier with the tire off, and the wheel off, but certainly doable even with the wheel on. This feels like sort of a maintenance job for the winter every few years to kind of freshen it up. And already this is looking a lot better. So then what we're going to do, and this will actually give me a better look at the bottom, is to flip this over. And that side looked a little worse off. But again, I can even rotate this a little bit here, get at the back of where this weld is, or soldering, whatever they did to connect this here. And yeah, getting a little bit more rust buildup out of there. I want to make sure that those are nice and solid for the future. So, okay, so that side's pretty good. Just going to go ahead and take this off here. Okay, that looks real nice on the bottom. So I'm very happy with that. Again, there seems to be more of that crustiness on the bottom, less so on the outside, I guess. Makes sense. On the inside, it probably got wiped down less. You know, when they went to wash it, it didn't get as much of that crust or salt off of there. Maybe a little bit more kicked up on there. Who knows? But so far, just in these quick little passes I'm taking here, and certainly could I take a wire wheel to it? Sure. But this really didn't take any time to do. And again, we're working with small areas. And if it's effective with just a wire brush, why bother getting out the drill? Might end up doing more damage than good if you're using that much power to do something this simple. Okay. And again, the key here with these wire brushes, get it nice and lubricated first, so you're not just scratching up the metal. And again, this wire isn't too abrasive. All right, and even though I can't really see it right there, taking a blind pass here, but I can even feel it getting more smooth as we go. And of course, yeah, I can just rotate it a little bit and get in under there, see a little bit better what needs to be done. And again, you go from rough to a little bit finer here at the end. And you end up getting a little more shine that way. Again, I think this is probably the roughest side. Oops, sorry, hit the camera there. This is the roughest side that I've seen out of these brackets. But and again, it's roughest on the part we're not going to see, but we're taking away the appearance of that surfaced rust. And this is way, way better than it was before. Perfect? No. Could we paint it and with some chrome paint, or maybe even get some of that engine paint on there and get a nice matte finish? Sure. Don't think that's really necessary here. This, again, we're not going to have a showpiece bike here. This is going to look a lot nicer, and we're still keeping original pieces on the motorcycle. So not too bad. I like it. All right, let's see. Now the fender, a little bit bigger, front fender, a little bit bigger piece. We'll take a look at that next. This one, you can see a little more crusty. I think I'm going to move the camera and then we'll clamp this down and get a little better look at it. All right, so we've got some heavy buildup here on this fender. We'll go with the wire brush, but I think I've got a little bit of a larger one that I might be able to use on this job. Yep. Maybe I've misplaced it, which is likely. I need to give a little bit of a cleanup here in the workspace, which we'll definitely get into tomorrow. Bigger space, bigger brush. Again, these came in a pretty cheap little set there at Harbor Freight, and if I wear them out, well, Only cost me a couple dollars to go back and get some replacements, so that's fine. So let's give this a little bit of a spritz. And again, we've got plenty of surface rust here in addition to the pitting. We might end up doing a little bit more here to try to smooth this out, as this is a very visible, noticeable surface. Again, is it better already? Absolutely. Is it better enough? I don't think so. Actually, it's harder to get much torque here with this bigger brush, so I'm not pushing down right on the end quite as much, but it's getting there. So it's not bad. Let's see if we can get even more with the steel wool. Oh yeah, there we go. And it's starting to clear up. So I think what I'll do for now is just do kind of a half and half job. Leave one half of it regular and the other half clean, so it'll be easier to notice what's been done. And again, this is just a few minutes without any power tools. This is just a wire brush, WD-40, and a little steel wool. We haven't polished anything. We haven't used any heavy abrasives. Okay. All right. And again, this sort of heavier pitting reminds me a little bit more of the gas cap, which I did paint. But let's take a look here. This is kind of the before. It was exactly like that. And just so far, this is the after. That is pretty dramatic results. Now, I think I'd like to pause and see what I can do with a wire wheel and maybe even a buffing wheel and a little bit of Mother's mag polish, mag and aluminum polish, and see if we can't bring a little bit of that chrome look back to this steel fender. Okay, so I've got this brass wheel. Tried this one first with some WD-40 for lubricant and see if this doesn't take out a little bit more of that pitting. Need to speed up this drill. All right, what I'm finding is it does well in getting off any surface rust that may remain. It's not really doing much for the pitting. And that's okay. That's a live and learn moment. So, what do? I think we go to the next stage here. Maybe a little more. Get this cleaned off a little bit. Just hunting out little rust spots. And there's a lot of rust on the other side we could use this edge. And we're going to try to get this with the with a polishing wheel. And again, the polishing wheel with the mother's mag and aluminum polish maybe will take a little bit more off there. Let's just rub it around real good and see what happens. And I won't do all of it so we can see if there's a difference between the parts we do over here and then this part here that we didn't really address. And again, there's a few dents in here, and again, we're gonna leave those in for character, same as we painted over, you know, some of the rusted areas and left it bare metal of the gas tank and the side covers, preserving a little bit of the history, a little bit of it, what it went through in its previous life. Okay. Does it look better? Yes, especially on the areas that were not pitted. Is it still rough with the pitting? Absolutely. So let's go to the next stage. Got another secret weapon here, and it's going to be a little combination of 1200 grit sandpaper, and I dipped it in white vinegar. So I think this is going to smooth down some of these pitted areas. I might even have to go to a little bit of a rougher sandpaper as well, especially in this middle part where the pitting is the worst. Okay. Is that looking a little better? Maybe, especially if we polish that a little bit. I think it would look even better. I'll need some more polish on there, but make sure we're not going to flash rust with that vinegar, so I'm going to give it just a good rinse off there. Okay, I think we'll maybe grab a sanding pad and go with something a little bit more aggressive just to smooth this down. If I can locate the sanding pad. Definitely recommend folks getting your workspace in order before you started on all these projects, but you know what, I'm impatient, I'll admit it. I just wanted to get this going. Got one of these foam sanding blocks from Harbor Freight here. I need to get some more of those, I think, maybe tomorrow. This is going to dip that in the vinegar as well, just smoothing this out a little bit more. Could we get, you know, power sander on this? Sure. Again, I don't want to do too much, but this is going to smooth it out a little bit. The vinegar is going to take off some of this rust. It's also a lubricant. Of course, could I just use soapy water? Sure. Could I use WD-40? Sure. And again, never, ever, ever is this going to be perfect. And I think I'm learning that I might want to put some, get this sanded down real smooth and put some chrome paint on. Am I going to do it now? Probably not. Will I do it someday? Maybe. Just maybe. Okay. So this is smoothed out quite a bit, but it's still pretty heavily pitted. And you know what? I'm just not so worried about that. Could have put Clearcoat over this. Sure could. Not sure that I will, though. And again, if I am bothered by the pitting enough, I can get a replacement fender, or again, I can paint it. These are options. And that's all this is, folks. Do things to your standard. Figure out what you can live with. And again, if you can't live with anything short of perfection, there's no shame in that game. Me? I don't need it to be perfect. We're just going to make it a little prettier, though. Okay, so lessons for the other side. I'm not going to take the sandpaper to it. I think I'm just not getting as brilliant of a shine right now. And it wasn't really worth it to get a little extra of that pitting off. I think we're going to switch back to that brass wheel and then try to get this side bracket. But you can do all this off camera. We'll come back and take a look at it when we've got a little bit more work done. All right, welcome back, everybody. As you can see, we've cleaned off this fender, turned it around, got this side here with this guide as well. Again, this is not a perfect fender. Perfectly usable one, though. Just might put some chrome paint on this at a later time, but I can definitely ride it around looking like this. Could even put a clear coat on top of it if I wanted, just to protect it, make it as shiny as possible. Might do that too. I think for now, I'm just going to turn it over because I want to get all of this crud out of there. Might not even need derusting as much as it just needs to be, I need to get in there with some that Simple Green HD Pro first, just to kind of decrud it, Get in there with a plastic brush first. Get that first layer, maybe get that big brush back in there that I was using a couple minutes ago. Just decrud this a little bit. Have to find a way to get this secured so I can get the wheel in there on some of this. Also get that get some lubricant in there. Already looking a little better. But yeah, let's lube it up. Get that wire brush back in there. And you know what? I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. Might just have to lay it down on the bench. Let's pause and get that going. All right, so we're back. Just got it on the bench now. Let's get some of this WD-40 on it. Well, you know what? Let's get some blaster on it. Really get to this rust here. Okay. And get the metal brush in there. And again, remember this lubricant is also going to protect it, make it less likely to rust additionally in the future. Let's also see if we can't get this brush in there. Might have to get a different shape, but that does the job. You can see that works pretty nice. So again, this is just PB Blaster, very simple brass wheel. I think I need to get the drill attachment here, so this will just sit in the end, but this is pretty simple business to get it all this, again, there's 50 years worth of rust here. Again, it's easy to look at these old rusty pieces of metal and think, oh man, it's junk, you can't save it. As long as it's not rusted through or bent completely out of shape, often there's good metal just under a layer of crud. This definitely is going to need a little bit more work, and I'll do more of it off camera, but you can see just with a few minutes, with a little bit of PB Blaster or WD-40 and pretty cheap brass brush. I got these at a 5-pack with Amazon. Definitely less than $10 for all of them. And battery operated drill. Yeah, there's a dramatic difference. So we're going to keep at it. So the Yamaha XS650 looks a lot different than the last time we saw it. I came to a critical decision point recently after putting the Clearcoat on the gas tanks that, okay, am I ready to put these back on and then try to just clean things up a little bit and put the tank on and see if it'll run. Maybe it'll be time to rebuild the carburetor. And then I realized, you know, there's a lot of rust on the frame, and that really I should attend to kind of everything before and you know, do I want to put the wheels back on, or do I need to clean up, you know, the forks? Do I need to make sure that they're rebuilt and do all of that before putting wheels back on. So I pretty much stripped the motorcycle of, obviously I've stripped the exhaust, stripped the crash bars off the front, got the headlight off because I'm going to need to attend to the rusting on this bucket here, so I still have a little bit more disassembly to do. I think the next thing I'm ready to do is to take apart everything here in the front so that that can be disassembled. Pieces could be painted, like the handlebar mounts here, everything that's part of the the speedometer and rev counter. All of this stuff can be taken off, can be fixed up, painted, clean up the glass there, because again, I don't want to have to take all this back apart once I get it running to then do all this maintenance. Again, it's still April here in Maryland. There's still time to get all this together before warm weather, but I might as well start with painting. Still need to do a little bit of cleanup before I do that, because there's still all of that crud in these air boxes, which I found out what that is. It was some sort of sound deadening material that was supposed to be in there, and it's not able to be found. Nobody has made replacements for that. So either A, you leave it empty and you just have this empty space in there, which I'm not sure that I love that idea, because then you have the issue that maybe something can crawl in there, live in there, in that dead space. Or maybe I can get some fireproof foam material and cut it to the size of the box and put that in there, and drill some holes in the middle so it could allow some of the exhaust to absorb in there. I don't know. But the next thing we're going to do is to vacuum out those boxes, and then we're going to start cleaning up the frame so that we can have paint on it, because you got to clean it up a bit before trying to put paint on top. So that's where we're going to go next. All right, so remember when we last saw these air boxes, we had taken out the original air filters. We've gotten replacements now. These were the retaining clips for both sides. And then again, in this box, there's some sort of powdery substance coming out. So I'm going to get in there now with the shop vac, try to get whatever is remaining in there out. Doesn't need to be super clean, because again, we don't have any need to paint in there, but we don't want it getting all over the things that we do want to paint. So I'm just going to try to, I kind of pulled some of this out of there earlier, might even pull from this side as well, just to get as much of that dust out as possible. Might as well get inside the battery area as well. Which I'm just going to take out so I can clean it well, but also there's metal in here that, so in the battery area, might as well take the sort of battery boot here out, because, there's sort of exposed metal there that needs to be painted as well. Might as well clean all of this off. I think I'm really just going to have to clean the engine case and all of that as well. I'm also finding more things that are rusted that I want to take off and put high heat paint on, like the Kickstarter there. Might as well, once you're in it, you might as well do it all the way, because you know, and again, you got rust on the ends of bolts. You might as well clean those bolts off, clean the nuts off, even if these are things that are not going to be seen, so that, you know, I'm not having to come back in a year or two and, you know, replacing things that are falling off because they've rusted out. So obviously we need to do the same on the other side here. So there's Kylo, golden retriever. Very loyal and good boy, but as dumb as can be. But that's kind of a golden retriever thing. He's very, you know, excitable, gets into lots of mischief. That's just the way he is. But, you know, everything is a danger that he needs to save us from. Kind of typical golden retriever stuff. So I'm gonna move the shop vac around so we can get in there as well. I think that's all we're going to do for today. I mean, you can see I've pretty much taken this motorcycle down to just about everything. You know, still have a few more things to take off. I'm going to take off that clutch lever as well. You know, I've taken off everything down to the kickstand. Probably take that center stand as well, so that can be painted. And again, just really, we want to clean this thing from top to bottom. We want it to, you know, be as close to original material, but also we want it to be in peak running condition. I don't want this thing just to run long enough to sell it to somebody on Marketplace or something like that. I'm going to ride this. I want to make it as nice as possible. So I think next time, you know, we're going to go ahead and get the rest of the things off here that we need to, including the instrument cluster, including the, you know, the headlight and the front fork gears that hold that on. So that can be cleaned up and clear coated as well. And so that we can, you know, some things are going to get chrome paint, other things are going to just get shined up, other things are going to get high heat paint on them. You know, it really depends on which thing we're looking at here, but this whole thing is going to need to be cleaned as well. So we're going to have to figure out how to clean this without getting, you know, water in the intakes and all of that sort of thing. So that'll be part of the adventure for next time. But that's going to be all for this episode of Big G's Backyard Motorcycle Restoration. Glad that you found this. You know, maybe share it with somebody else who likes doing the things that we're doing here. Somebody else that's into restoring these old Japanese motorcycles. You know, make sure to subscribe. You know, comment on the episodes, you know, what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like me maybe there's something you'd like me to explain more about that I didn't. And again, also hit that notification bell so you're going to get notified the next time a new episode is out. Hope all is well with you wherever you are. And, you know, until the next time, be safe, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one.